So today's Spanish Grand Prix proved two things. Proved what I've been saying ever since the outset of this channel, which is the safety car rules are what they are for the purpose that I've described. They're not reasons that can be forgotten. They're not things that you can be confused about. I didn't take to YouTube to become a YouTuber in the way that many do. I came to YouTube to expose a crime. And that crime is sport fixing, which constitutes fraud. That's exactly what it is. The perpetrators need to be held to account, and that is ultimately what I seek to do. So, what I'm going to do, firstly, I'm seeking to raise awareness because it always helps when more people are aware. Because as and when the time comes where accountability will be sought, what it's going to require people to spread the information. Mainstream media lies. Mainstream media has failed to inform all of the world about the true context of what really happened at Abu Dhabi 2021. They've just complied with a narrative, that being it was just a human error by one guy who was under pressure, and all the teams agreed to a racing finish. That was some bullshit. And we'll ask the question, does the race director have overriding authority? All of it is a bullshit narrative. And this is what I've been proving over the course of this channel. And the dynamics of that are that what YouTube does, it will drip feed it to the odd Formula One fan, and then it will send in the troll armies to come here to cause a conflict and cause the argument and tell us what they think in the comments section, which is all irrelevant. What's relevant is Abu Dhabi 2021, the sport broke the rules of the sport to contrive the ending to that event, manipulating the outcome of that year's World Championship, gifting it in effect to Max Verstappen. The sport has enabled Max Verstappen to drive in a way which is completely illegitimate, completely against the rules of the sport, and yet the media surrounding the sport has done nothing but boost Max Verstappen and project Max Verstappen as being the greatest thing that this sport has ever seen. So what we saw today is an example of that. It defined, it clearly shows what's really going on in safety car situations, and it also clearly shows the type of individual that Max Verstappen is. And yet still, what the media were doing about it was still trying to validate Max, weren't they? I've got all the videos from the race and from the post-race thing, so it's going to be quite a lot of videos this week when I get the time, because I've got quite a lot going on at the moment, to go through all of that and expose the lies so that you can see where you are being lied to, where we are being exposed to narrative projecting media that is projecting things in a way to just boost Max Verstappen, validate Max Verstappen, and never call it out correctly. Even the drivers are scared to talk about it in the correct way. That is the suppression of truth. Who is doing that? Who is controlling the driver's freedom of speech in order to be able to expose the true dynamics of a situation? That is rather disturbing, isn't it? What threat is there to their career if they speak out with the truth? I'll go through Lando Norris's post-race interview. When asked what kind of example to give to the kids that go and do karting, would that be acceptable? All Lando Norris could say was, no comment. That is disgusting. Who is putting the pressure on Lando Norris so that Lando doesn't feel confident that he can talk out in these situations? So, this video, let me just explain what this screen is. In the immediate aftermath, I uploaded that couple of 4 or 5 minute long video just as an initial reaction, and then I went and rewound the recording of the race that I did to the incident and played that through, stopping it and commentating on it. What I'm experiencing, I get my Grand Prix through the Sky Sports on Now TV. So rather than buy the Sky package, which costs loads and loads of money, which I can't afford, I spent it's basically 20 quid a month on Now TV, and so I can watch the Grand Prix. But all you get is like the main channels. You don't get the ability to, as far as I'm aware, you don't get the ability to go on board with each of the drivers in the same way that you would if you've got the main Sky package. Likewise, here in the UK, the F1 TV package doesn't give you the live races and it doesn't give you the onboards in the current season. It will give you race highlights in the days after the event, but it won't give you the full race until the season after, where you then get tracker view, data view, and all the onboards. So I can get all that for 2024 now. During 2024, that's not accessible. And likewise for this season, it's just not accessible at the moment. So I haven't got the onboards. So what I did, when I record these things as screen recordings from Now TV, sometimes they come up as the actual race. I can watch the race back. Sometimes it just comes up as a black screen. So all I've got is the audio, which makes it sometimes difficult to follow because you're not actually seeing things as well. So it's a difficult thing to do. When you then try and do a video, when it's got the actual footage, it will get blocked on copyright. By adjusting the speed, it can sometimes get through the copyright checks, but not always. So I chanced it, I did a video and uploaded it, and as you can see here, it got blocked, copyright protected content found, nobody would be able to watch the video. So this was the video, 47 minutes long, where I was going through the footage. That got blocked. So what I've got to do, I'm going to play that video for you now to show you what I said in the immediate aftermath of the event. I believe that the majority of it will stand true. Okay, I've since watched some of the. I paused the main recording. Made this video, and then I continued watching through, seeing the after post race breakdowns of Ratboy Davidson and the driver interviews, and then the analysis of Lazenby and Rosberg and the two girls having a circle jerk about everything, So I've now recorded all that lot as well. So since then, I've obviously seen some of the onboards. Need to do a bit more about Russell's attempted overtake into turn one at the safety car restart, because again, I do mention that in this one. But have a listen to this, those of you that are interested. Have a listen to what I said in the immediate aftermath of breaking down that event. Listen to how it's commentated on by Rosberg and Crofty. There's some key stuff. Crofty immediately fluffs Max Verstappen. Projecting the coming together of Russell and Verstappen. But anyway, what I'm going to do is play that, and what you'll also see, because I can't show you the footage, this has got to be playing in the background, so you'll hear the audio. This is what you're going to see as the screen, which is my Facebook, dedicated Facebook page set up to try and campaign for the situation. Remember, in the immediate aftermath of Abu Dhabi 2021, not a single form of media was talking about that event in the manner that it needed to be exposed. Not a single one. Sky Sports F1 were making programs to validate it. They were putting in front of us the expert Martin Brundle. I've broken down many of those videos. They were lying. They were purposefully lying. They were lying before Massey even broke the rules. They were part of the fraud, the fix. They were scripted to validate what was going to take place. This was a planned contrivance. Every form of other media, whether that be TV or written media, none of them ever told the truth. None of them ever exposed what was really going on. You then go onto YouTube, where you might have also got some information about it. All of the main YouTube channels, all of the big social media YouTube channels that talk about Formula One were talking utter bullshit. They were asking you the question: does Michael Massey, in effect, have the ability to override the rules? Has he got that overriding authority? What do you think? All it was parroting a narrative. Now, were these complicit with the narrative? Were they just watching Sky and just feeding off that and repeating that? Because it didn't appear that any of them had either the knowledge or the willingness to expose it for what it really was. They put themselves forward as being knowledgeable people in F1. Oh, yeah, I'm an F1 YouTuber. I know about Formula One, yet not a single one of the mainstream ones that have got upwards of 20, 30, 40,000 subscribers, not a single one could identify it in the way that I have. Not a single one. And this season, safety car in Imola, safety car here. What have you seen? The rules haven't changed. Certainly the fundamental purpose of them rules never has changed. And the notion of interpreting a word meaning that you can do something different is utter bullshit. So what I did in the aftermath of Abu Dhabi, when I actually realised, whoa, hang on a minute, why is none of the media exposing this in the way that is true? Because I know what's true here, and not a single one of them is exposing it in the correct manner. I thought that the power of public opinion could sway things. I believed at that time that if the truth was put out there, and if enough people then were speaking the truth, and that got shared, then the pressure would be for mainstream well, not just pressure, mainstream media would pick up on it and then start reporting the truth. That was what I thought would happen. Even before this, I actually contacted mainstream media. I contacted Sky Sports. I contacted all the forms of mainstream media that I could. I've got the emails that I sent as proof. I was perfectly reasonable. I explained the situation. I explained the damaging impact that I felt that this was having, and the message it was sending out, and the need for something to be done and to be exposed in the correct manner, and also for the correct winner to actually be awarded what they would have validly accomplished. I was ignored. I was ignored time and time and time and time again. So I had to then seek to try and present this myself. So I set up this page on Facebook. At the time, it was called Change Formula One 2021. Lewis Hamilton is the true and valid champion. Since setting up this YouTube channel, I've made both names of both this page and the channel the same, F1 XCD Fixed. So if you haven't been over to Facebook and looked at this channel, go ahead. Go and have a read of the articles. Go and read when it was I was writing these articles. I spent the best part of a year writing detailed articles in different styles on there, and they were shared on Facebook. But I found that they were just reaching the same audience, the same set of people that fundamentally agreed with what was being presented, but nothing was making a difference. Nobody was paying any attention outside of the people that were reading it on social media. We were getting trolling. We were getting the usual trolls with the laughing face emoji reactions, with the constant trolling, the move on already, the keep crying, the all the bullshit that we get. And some of those trolls from Facebook have moved over onto this channel and are trolling this channel because that's how they get off in this world. That's the sad lives that they lead. this is going to be what's on the screen. Ultimately, after about 10 months, 11 months of doing this on Facebook, I devised a way of representing it with a video. So I made my first YouTube video. I actually didn't want to be presenting it myself. I approached another YouTube channel and wanted them to do it. They'd already got over 10,000 subscribers, and I felt that if a large enough, 10,000 I thought was going to be large enough, YouTube channel could present the information, then again, that would make people wake up to the real reality of the situation. So I utilised tracker view. I did my breakdown using tracker view, demonstrating where the cars were on the track and the impact it was having on those cars. Unfortunately, that YouTuber didn't want to do it, didn't want to put that video out. So I had to just take the plunge and set up my own YouTube channel and try and build everything from there. And it takes a long time to try and build up a YouTube channel from scratch, particularly if it's a topic that is not, well, I don't want to talk about it at the moment in that regard. But ultimately, it's not been an easy topic to gain a following from. So I've been going on here ever since about, I think, November 2022. And again, it's been slow progress, and it will continue to be, no doubt. But like I say, today's race demonstrated the two things that this channel is trying to sort out. And that is, Abu Dhabi 2021 was a fraud. That safety car situation was a fraud. And linked with that is the manufactured champion Max Verstappen. He's not the greatest this sport has ever seen by a long stretch. He is enabled to drive like a thug. That's not a champion. 2021 was not a valid championship for him. That is Lewis Hamilton's championship. 2022, well, that car was developed in a budget cap era. That's an illegal car. You will lose your championships. Ross Brawn said that. Oh, they didn't. They negotiated their penalty. Oh, Max Verstappen is a two-time world champion. Yeah, see how that works? 2023, the rocket ship. 2024, the rocket ship again. Adrian Newey genius again, until it wasn't. Until they had to manufacture a close title battle. Now, Red Bull is the worst car on the grid, isn't it? Evidently. Yeah, we have to give that narrative. There's always a narrative, isn't there? There's always a narrative. Anyway, what I'm going to do now in this video is play through what my immediate analysis of Max Verstappen driving his car at George Russell was. To come will be my breakdown of the safety car situation, and then over the course of this week and probably next will be analysis of the post-race interviews, the post-race analysis, Rat Boy Davidson's analysis, once again fluffing Max Verstappen to the max, to demonstrate what this show is all about. It's a complete show, it's a fraud, and a lot of it's a contrivance. The world needs to wake up to that. Formula One's an example where once people realise the effect that media has, media that is owned by billionaires, this sport owned by billionaires, and media presenting the narrative of this sport as a narrative, not exposing the truth, the governing body manufacturing results by selective application of rules of the sport to benefit a particular driver. And when you realise them same dynamics extrapolate to so many other dynamics in this world that actually benefit the big businesses that ultimately control the governments to make decisions for their benefit, then hopefully it's a dynamic that can wake people up to actually what's really impacting our lives. And that's really key. Those that stand in the way of that are the little wank boys, because they like Max Verstappen, so they come here to a channel that's trying to expose corruption, trying to expose crime, the types of crime and corruption that impacts our life, and they try to come here to undermine the content because they like Max. That's the kind of little wankers they are. So ignore them, all right? Ignore them. They're little cunt childs, all right, that don't see the bigger picture. I need you to see the bigger picture. We expose this to the world, we get this overturned, it's going to wake a lot of people up. 108 million people were defrauded at Abu Dhabi 2021. Globally, 108 million people were encouraged to watch that event, sold that event as being this championship finale. And 108 million, 108.7 million were defrauded by the billionaire entity. So there needs to be a consequence for that. That is going to wake up a lot more than 108 million people when the world then has to report what really took place, who really contrived this, and what the media did to everybody before the rules were broken. So it's really important people then wake up to the fact that this billionaire owned media is lying to everybody about the contrivances that go on in this world to make us believe them to be happening a certain way. And that certain way enables them to carry on perpetrating the things that they are getting away with, that enriches them. And our lives suffer as a consequence. Anyway, I've been going on long enough. Let me just play through then the video of what I originally created. So I'm going to press play, and then I'm going to turn my microphone down, and you'll have this played through. I'll say thank you for your time now, and enjoy the remainder of this. Cheers. Okay, let's go through this incident then with Max Verstappen purposely driving his car at George Russell. I'm going to pick this up from the resumption of racing after the safety car. That safety car period where essentially the safety car remained on track for 2 laps after those lapped cars were released, to ensure that those released cars fully caught the back of the pack, fully restoring sporting fairness to each of those competitors. Those competitors that were released, then some of them ended up in a point scoring position. Funny that that's what I've been saying ever since Abu Dhabi 2021, when nobody else in this shit show was able to speak about it. They were all, oh, we'll ask a question. Oh, nobody knows the answer to this question. I do. I've been saying it ever since. How come no media has? How come no media could expose it? In fact, how come the media was used to condition every mind before it happened that it was going to happen? Well, that's because it was a fraud. That was a preordained contrivance. But I'm going to do more on that. Anyway, let's go through this one. Lap 60 of 66. After a safety car situation, we'll go through how many laps that was as well, won't we? With Kimi Antonelli going off the track. No debris to clear up on track, just went off into a gravel trap. No fire to have to put out, just went off into a gravel trap. Okay, anyway, let's do this bit first. So, safety car ending, lap 60 of 66. Oscar was a bit naughty, I think, putting the brakes on in an erratic manner, causing Lando to have to slow sharply, causing Max to have to slow sharply. Otherwise, you'd have rear-ended Lando. Now, that's something that needs looking at. Each driver should not be driving erratically, causing the car behind to have to take an evasive manoeuvre. So that is something that needs to be looked at. In fact, I don't know if it's going to be possible for me to show it you on this bit.
But that was maybe a bit of a because he just Engine mode back into the right mode.
Here we go. We'll go from here, actually.
Need to remember to do all those things. And now...
Well, difficult to actually pick up from that just how sharply Oscar was braking. Lando managed the situation fine. Let's have a look.
He's catching up a bit.
I don't know if you're going to be able to view this, because I don't know whether this will come out as a black screen to you, but I'm going to play this through anyway.
And when we go green, get a really good march on Pierre Gasly, but we'll see. He's catching up a bit.
Okay,
right.
So now brake balance back into its optimum position, engine mode back into the right mode. Need to remember to do all those things. And now...
To be fair, looking at it like that, it didn't look like Oscar did anything too dramatic. Everybody could see that safety car lights had gone out and it was going to disappear off. It very much appeared that Max didn't react appropriately to Lando's input. Again, without having the telemetry to know the actual braking force and whether it was like a brake test style stop, is difficult to know. But Max overshot there. That will be in the race director's notes that you're not allowed to advance beyond being behind the car in front of you. So that might be a penalty there, but again, we don't see that from the correct angle to be actually confirm that.
Now, Piastri slammed the brakes on there to let...
But it very much looked like Max Verstappen would have got past the rear wing of Lando Norris's car.
Lando get away.
Are they going to even investigate it? No mention of it yet. Anyway.
Because he just entered the third sector.
Yeah.
And into the third sector, he is the guy controlling the speed. He doesn't need to stay near the safety car anymore. But that was maybe a bit of an abrupt deceleration there.
Well, it certainly warmed up Max Verstappen's brakes and he almost went past Lando Norris. When do you go here? If you're the leader, when do you go, Nico?
Interesting question. Now.
Hindsight is a beautiful thing, my friend.
Ha 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 ha, Crofty. Hindsight is a beautiful thing, isn't it, Crofty? It's a shame that you haven't learned since Abu Dhabi 2021. And like every safety car that took place from the Australian Grand Prix of 2012 up until Abu Dhabi 2021, you'd forgotten about those when it came to Abu Dhabi 2021, and then every safety car since, you've forgotten what's happened in each of those, because a few laps earlier than this, Crofty, you were thinking that the race was going to restart again, weren't you, Crofty? This is the professional commentator of the sport. Strange that, isn't it?
Oh, racing. We have green flags, and Oscar Piastri is leading here, and Max Verstappen's under pressure from Charles.
So, as we come out of that final turn, Max almost loses the back end. Okay, almost loses the back end. A snap of oversteer, they'll call it. Well, was it just the fact that he was trying to put the power down and that rear end spun out on him? We're calling that oversteer, are we? Right. So that obviously gave Max Verstappen an extremely slow entrance point to the long straight, giving the advantage there to Leclerc.
Leclerc already, and you can see the big snap from Verstappen as he made his way around the final corner. Now they're over the line. Now Charles Leclerc can get the overtake done. Piastri leads into turn one. Then comes...
Now, again, what they show us on the global feed at the time is, and I don't know if, again, this will turn out.
From Verstappen as he made his way around the final corner. Now they're over the line.
We get three different angles of this. View from above and behind, view from the side, view from the front. Miss any kind of contact, that's all editing. All editing. Okay? This is supposed to be live. It's all editing. Do we see Max's onboards from that? I've not seen them yet. Do we see... well, we do see Max's onboards of that one. Do we see... I've not seen Max's onboards of when he ran into George Russell's. Let's see if that's available. Let's see if Max's steering inputs is available then. Or, miraculously, like normal, we've only got the rear view camera when Max drives his car at something else. We don't get to see Max's intent with his hands. Oh, no, we haven't got that view. Just like we lost the front view of Max's car in Brazil 2021. Just like we lost the front view of Max's car at Saudi 2021. Just like we lost the front view of Max's car at Mexico 2024. Yeah, it's funny that, isn't it?
Now Charles Leclerc can get the overtake done. Piastri leads into turn one. Then comes Norris, then Leclerc. Russell on the inside of Verstappen, who has to go off the track.
Russell on the inside of Verstappen, who has to go off the track, does he? Does he? Is that your assessment? Is it Crofty? Or has he opted to go off the track? Again, we'll have to look at this in slow motion. We'll have to assess who was entitled to what braking room. What we saw in this race is Liam Lawson do some filthy moves. Fully behind at the braking zone. Fully behind at the moment. His DRS flap is closing, which indicates he's braking. He still sent it up the inside. Ran the other car out of track room on exit the corner, and the other car's got penalised. So again, this is if you're from the Red Bull School of Motoring, you are a see you next Tuesday, okay? But it was the other cars that got penalised for that. It was the other cars that got 10-second penalties for leaving the track and gaining an advantage. So, he had to go off, did he, Crofty?
Lewis Hamilton behind George Russell, and he's back out on the track. Max Verstappen behind Charles Leclerc, the hard tyre, giving him a hard luck story here in Barcelona.
It's a hard luck story for Max.
Behind Hamilton comes Nico Hulkenberg.
Max the victim.
He's gone past Isaac Hadjar, and he's up into 7th place. Gasly is 9th, Lawson 10th, Alonso has gone past.
It's Max Verstappen on the radio. Oh my, mate. He rammed into
Stockholm.
He just rammed into me. He did the same. That's a penalty.
Funny that you should say ramming into somebody is a penalty, Max. Funny that.
And he's up into 7th place. Gasly is 9th, Lawson 10th, Alonso has gone past Ocon.
He just rammed into me. He did the same. That's a penalty.
Verstappen not a happy boy, and he's now under pressure.
Max is the expert of the rules, I'll tell you. Oh, Max is so good. He can drive at 200 miles an hour and drive other people's cars for them as well. Max is incredible. Max is the best you've ever seen. Oh, it's Max Verstappen, everybody. Cock.
Pressure from George Russell.
I'm not so sure. We need to see the replay on that, but Verstappen is struggling so much. He almost spun out of the last corner. We need to see the onboard on that. I think he deployed all his magic to stay on the track there.
Max deployed all of his magic to stay on the track.
To lift off also. And
or was it, Max's actual input put the back end of his car to kick out? Was that his magic to stay on, or was it his magic that put his car like that in the first place? Oh, okay. Is he just used to having a car that just responds to his every action? Does it have driver aids? Is that what it is? Oh, who knows? Who knows? Who knows? The genius is no longer at the team. Maybe he took his driver aids with him. Who knows? Who knows?
you can see he just has no grip with those hard tires.
It's going to take a couple of laps to warm up.
It's Max again. Max the victim again. Charles just rammed into me on the straight. Now, again, we didn't see that. The global feed hid that from us.
On that, I think he deployed all his magic to stay on the track there. He had to lift off also, and you can see he just has no grip with those hard tires.
It's going to take a couple of laps to warm up.
Charles just rammed into me on the straight.
Copy that, Max. He certainly timed his run.
Copy that, Max. Yeah, do you want to see where your car was drifting on the straight, Max? When you know you've got a car alongside you?
Charles Leclerc so that he didn't overtake Max Verstappen before the line, because you can't.
True, even that, yeah, that could have been a big issue.
And I think he had to back out a little bit, because such was the rear end stepping out of Verstappen round this corner. Leclerc was onto the back of that Red Bull long before he thought it was possible. Hamilton's under a bit of pressure here from Nico Hulkenberg in the back, and the gap out in front, 9/10.
So, what is going on with the performance of Hamilton's car? You know, obviously we're going to get the strap-on fanboy going to say, oh, Hamilton's washed. It clearly isn't, but there's clearly something wrong with the performance of that car. What is going on?
To the second, Piastri to Norris. Into turn one we go. Verstappen in fourth place. Behind him comes Russell, then Hamilton and Hulkenberg a bit further ahead of Hadjar. But let's see on board now with Charles Leclerc.
Look at that! Oh my goodness! You cannot go more sideways than that. Why does...
So Leclerc's now ahead.
You say Leclerc rammed into it. Oh, there they touched, but Leclerc was already passed by then, so that's not a fair comment from Max.
Absolutely right, Nick. I know there's a lot of things that I disagreed with what you were saying in that race when you were talking about Lawson's lunges, dive bombs. You were wrong about that, okay? Because there is no space at that stage when it's left so late. Where can the car on the outside go? If they don't leave the track, there will be a collision. They've already elected a cornering speed to get them around the track on that line. Lawson's then dive bombed his car into that, and if they don't leave the track, there is a collision. You can't leave it that late. You've not earned the right to that corner. But no, they've changed the rules to Max Verstappen rules. No, that's dangerous, but we'll carry on.
That was Max's
wonder.
responsibility. Look at that, how sideways.
Such was the snap there from Max Verstappen. Did he think Leclerc hit him?
No, it's here. Look, it's there.
It's
Bam.
there. Well,
But that's Max's fault because Leclerc's already passed.
well, let's just have a little look here from the helicam. This will give us a much better shot.
Leclerc goes past,
There
and now
goes
they
Leclerc.
touch.
Well,
That's Max's fault.
Verstappen's gone
Leclerc
into
didn't
Leclerc.
even move.
Yeah, funny that, isn't it, Crofty? Verstappen's gone into Leclerc, but they couldn't show us that on real time. Well, it's not real time. Understand that we're not seeing a live feed real time. They're cutting and pasting the footage.
What is he talking about?
And now on the exit of turn one, let's have.
What's going on there? So, let's try and analyse George Russell's. And again, I don't
Give us
know
a
if you can
much
see
better
this.
shot.
And if you can't see this, is when this video is published, if this turns out to be black screen, and it might have to be black screen to actually avoid copyright, I'll slow this down and do an analysis of what George Russell does here. And whether George was eligible. George may not have been eligible for this.
Goes past,
There
and now
goes
they
Leclerc.
touch.
Well,
That's Max's fault.
Verstappen's gone into
Leclerc didn't
Leclerc.
even move.
Exactly.
So what is he talking about?
So there's the 150. George is well behind. Car and a half lengths behind at least.
And now,
Okay, at the 100, his front wing is barely level with the rear wheels. Nah.
now on the
Inside the 50. So we're talking 45 to 40 metres before the corner. It's only at that point there where you could maybe argue George is halfway alongside Max on the inside. That's a very late move from Russell. Although Max got away with it, Lawson was getting away with it.
exit of
We come round now.
turn one,
George Russell is side by side with Max Verstappen.
let's have.
They're side by side. Who won the race to the apex? Well, where is the apex? Where is the apex? Does George Russell have to ease out now because he's got a car directly in front of him, so he has to moderate his speed with Charles Leclerc being directly there? So at that point in there, they are clearly side by side. You can't measure it at that point because you can't take a still shot at that point to then determine who is allowed what room on exit of the corner. These cars are trying to travel around there as fast as possible. You don't assess this in a snapshot.
Have a look. There's
So then, because he's on a wider line, can carry a bit more speed through there is Verstappen.
did George
And Max has driven across. Max hasn't made any attempt to remain on the track.
Russell hit Max, and that's why Max had to get off the track. Is he talking about George Russell? The stewards are looking
He
at
touched
George
Leclerc
Russell now.
and George Russell. He hit two cars on that straight.
But the stewards are looking at this next moment here,
So let's have a look at George's steering inputs if we can.
where Verstappen and George Russell make contact.
So George overcooks it, and he has to open up because he has the rear end.
Great analysis, Nico. George has to open up. Yes, did you see that movement on George's steering wheel? George steered left going through a right-hander because he had to regain control of the back end of his car because he overcooked it. So he'd gone into the corner too fast, hadn't he, George? Left it too late. That wasn't a controlled manoeuvre around the corner from George Russell.
Go out. So it was George's fault there, and that's why Verstappen now is allowed to stay in front.
Okay. So this is what you need. This is why you need clear parameters. It's too late a move on Russell. Okay. So what I also want to do is see Max's inputs, because actually from Max's on boards, it looked very much like Max put in extra right hand down steering to actually bump But that could have been a reaction. That could have been corrective. Can't tell you at this point. Do further analysis on that if I can get some on boards.
Yeah, that's what he was complaining about as the Mercedes briefing happens and the stewards are taking a close look. But yeah,
But Max has found his mojo now on those hard tyres. He's looking okay.
and out in front 1
So Max might have been sinned against on that incident by Russell. He wasn't sinned against by Leclerc, but he might have been sinned against by Russell. But again, without seeing that slow-mos comparison of both onboards, it's difficult to make that assessment. What I will say for sure is that was an extremely late move by Russell, and was Russell in control of his car going around that corner, and did Russell cause contact as a result of that? Need to analyse that.
2 seconds the gap at the end of lap 62 between Piastri and Lawrence.
What we will say though is the intent to make a contact didn't appear to be there from Russell.
As Behrman gets past his teammate Ocon, those medium tyres not firing up for Esteban Ocon here. Liam Lawson still under pressure from Gabriel Bortoleto behind him. Hulkenberg in the other Sauber stays in a comfortable 7th. He's gained 8 places in this race. He's had a terrific Spanish Grand Prix as we're on board now with Fernando Alonso through turn 5. The car in front of him.
Fernando Alonso up to 12th. Remember, he was in 13th during that safety car period. Fernando's up to 12th now. 3 laps to go. Can Fernando get his first point of the season?
Him is a Sauber currently.
At his home Grand Prix? You couldn't make it up, could you?
Gabriel Bortoleto, he's got past Behrman. Oh, he nearly got past Bortoleto as well.
Wow, that was close. Bortoleto thankfully saw him and just opened up ever so slightly, and Fernando went full on over the inside curb to avoid the collision.
They're both in the same management stable. He's part, isn't he, Bortoleto, of Fernando Alonso's management stable. They're really good friends as well, and they're pointless for this season.
Max Verstappen on the radio. He needs to give the position back. See, Max is always demanding the position back.
And for this season, they want to score at least something here today.
Come on, Max.
You see, Max, when you do it, when you send it up the inside, you don't shout that that you need to give that position back that you've gained illegally, do you, Max? But you're always the victim, aren't you, Max? This is what a narcissist is. They're always the victim, never the perpetrator, always the victim. Now, on this occasion, okay, he was the perpetrator against Leclerc. He definitely drifted to the right against Leclerc, knowing that Leclerc was there, knowing that Max had made the mistake on at the beginning of that straight, knowing he was always susceptible to an attack, and rather than just accept, yeah, Leclerc's done in there, no, he drifted over to the right. So Max was at fault there. Max caused a collision there. That's a 10-second penalty. This one, George has sent it in too hot into turn 1. Need to compare the onboards to see what Max was actually doing there. But it seems likely that because he went into turn 1 too fast, had to correct his steering mid-turn, would that have caused a collision mid-turn with Max? We'll see. If that's the case, if George Russell was the cause of any contact, then George Russell is at fault. If there was no contact, then why has Max just driven straight off the track? Shall we compare this with the beginning of the race at Spain 2021, where Max just sent it up the inside and straight across to the other side of the track and Lewis had to back out? Shall we compare it with that? Oh, we can do that with my preview video of this race.
Stop talking nonsense. He has to give the position back. Like, what kind of rubbish is he talking about?
Well, he thinks...
So, Nico's saying that Max is talking rubbish. I'll replay that.
To score at least something here today.
Come on, Max. Stop talking nonsense. He has to give the position back. Like, what kind of rubbish is he talking about?
Well, he thinks...
Okay, well, it's not the Charles Leclerc that he's, I guess, is asking to give the position back. Although, who knows, in Max's head, who does Max expect to give that position back? Well, in fact, it must be. It must be, because actually George Russell isn't past him yet, is he? So Max must be talking about Charles Leclerc. Absolutely right, Nico. Apologies there. I haven't analysed this enough. I'm doing this pretty much off the cuff in the immediate aftermath of the race. Max is talking about Charles Leclerc and demanding Leclerc gives that position back. What are you smoking, Maxwell Verstappen?
Charles Leclerc hit him, and I'm sure when he sees it afterwards, he'll realise that he was the one moving over.
Of course, sometimes it's difficult. You're in the heat of the moment. You might remember things a little bit different.
Here we go, Verstappen again.
Sometimes.
Max, can you let Russell through, please?
No!
Let Russell through.
No.
So, Giampiero Lambesi asking Max to let Russell through. Well, why would you do that if you didn't think that the rules were that you've done something wrong there?
Advice is to let him through.
Wait, he just ran me off the road.
But that's the rules.
That's the rules. That's the rules. Max says he's just rammed me off the road, and Lambesi goes, that's the rules. Funny, isn't it, that nobody can explain the rules? The variable rules of Formula One, the Max Verstappen rules, because that's what Max usually does and gets away with it. When somebody does it to Max, Max doesn't like it. What do you mean? He's just rammed me off the road. That's the rules, Max. And Max has just collided with George Russell. Having slowed down, having opened himself up to passing George by, the moment George then goes by, Max just opens his car up and rams into him. And doesn't let him by. It's disgusting. This is absolutely filthy. I'm going to just rewind this 10 seconds.
Let Russell through.
No.
Advice is to let him through.
Wait,
And remember, these radio communications are selected. Okay, this isn't live audio. This has been selected by F1 TV to play to the worldwide audience to inform you of what's going on. So they've selected that message, which may have taken place 10, 20 seconds ago, and now you're hearing about it on your screen whilst watching this.
he just ran me off the road.
But that's the
So Max is clearly slowing there. George is going round the outside, giving a wide berth. Max is clearly slowed, and then
rules.
stayed wide of that corner. Stayed wide of that corner. So he's clearly, having slowed to leave the space for Russell, make it clear to Russell that he's going to let him by. Russell has gone by and then turned into the corner, and Max has just put his car there. I want to see Max's hands.
Oh, and as he tried to let him through, George Russell going rounds the outside at turn 5 makes contact with Max Verstappen.
Hear that? Did you hear that? That fat fuck Crofty.
Oh, and as he tried to let him through, George Russell going rounds the outside at turn 5 makes contact with Max Verstappen.
George Russell makes contact with Max Verstappen. Look at the way he words that.
Who was in no mood to let him through, was receiving orders from the pit wall that he disagreed with. Russell thought he was complying with those orders, and that is definitely going to be looked at by the stewards as Alonso gets past Bortoletto, as Lando Norris goes fastest through the first sector, trying to gain on Piastri.
Wow. He needs...
Yes, George. What the...
Good night, mate.
Just crashed it.
He just crashed into me.
Get black flag.
Absolutely right, Nico. He needs to be black flagged. That's being disqualified from this race. He needs to be black flagged. That's a disqualification. That is multiple points on your super license. In fact, it should be race banned. This guy should be race banned. That is just absolutely not acceptable conduct.
Just crashed into Russell on purpose.
Well, let's see.
Just to prove a point.
Let's see that again, Nick.
He just crashed into Russell on purpose to prove a point. This isn't a racing incident. This isn't causing a collision. This is causing a collision with intent. That is a completely different crime. Completely different crime.
Go.
No, you don't need to. That was horrible. That did not look good.
He's let him through, and temperatures boiling over on track here in Barcelona.
So he lets him through eventually. Let's see if we can see the moment in time where he actually lets him through. Is it now? Let's play this again.
So, as Lando Norris goes fastest through the first sector, trying to gain on Piastri.
Wow. He needs
Good night, mate.
Just crash it.
he needs to get black flagged. He just crashed into Russell on purpose.
Yeah, finally Max does stay wide and lets George through a little bit further around there. He drove his car at him. That's using your car as a weapon.
Well, let's see.
Just to prove a point.
Let's see that again, Nico.
No, you don't need to. That was
See, Crofty, you don't need to. You don't need to see it again. We all saw.
horrible.
That was horrible. Totally agree with you on this one, Nico. Totally agree with you.
Did not look good.
He's let him through, and temperatures boiling over on track here in Barcelona.
The point is,
So how come, right, a Ferrari is being attacked by one of these stake kick Saubers? What's going on there? What kind of power settings are on this Ferrari of Lewis Hamilton? You're not telling me that Lewis Hamilton can't lap that car, lap a decent Formula One car around this circuit at a good pace and sustain that. What's he dealing with? He's just been pitted onto what should be relatively fresh tyres, and he's getting challenged by a kick Sauber. What's going on?
so that Verstappen was in the right, where we see Hulkenberg passing Hamilton. I cannot believe it.
Hamilton struggling so much that he has been passed by the Sauber of Hulkenberg, who's up into 6th place, and whilst that happens, Fernando Alonso is up into 10th for...
Oh, you couldn't make it up, could you? So what's the purpose of releasing the lapped cars, kids? Is it to get them out of the way of the race between the leaders? Or is it to restore sporting fairness to all competitors to meet the restart condition after that race has been interrupted to have to deal with a safety concern? Oh, well, you see, when Antonelli went out, that race got neutralised. All of the previously built up advantages between all of the competitors get wiped out. Now, when the safety car is deployed, then the safety car picks up the leader and every car has to line up behind the leader. At that stage, the car directly behind Piastri was Liam Lawson, I believe it was, in the Racing Bull. Liam Lawson, at that point in time, was trying to challenge 9th place Pierre Gasly, who weren't that far up the road. But Pierre Gasly gets a chance to disappear all the way around the track and catch the back of the safety car snake. You can't now leave Liam Lawson this amount of time behind. Okay, you can't allow Antonelli departing that race to ruin 10th place Liam Lawson's chances. So you have the unlapping procedure. It's not to get them out of the way of the race between the leaders. It's to restore sporting fairness to all competitors. So each of those lapped cars gets released and is afforded the time to make it around that track and link up with the back of that safety car snake, so that when we get going again, we've got the correct race order, nose to tail, with all the previously built up advantages wiped out in between each and every competitor. That is the only way you can restart. Funny that they couldn't tell you that at Abu Dhabi 2021, isn't it? Funny that. Funny what the commentators were saying. Funny what every form of media has stated about this since. The BBC, Sky Sports, every form of written media, every form of mainstream media, most YouTube channels, most big YouTube fluff channels. Go back to my very first video. Go back and see every video I've done about Abu Dhabi 2021. Yes.
Potentially his first point of the season. And that has been noted. Verstappen and Russell for causing a collision.
That's been noted.
Let's have a look at it again. On board with George Russell, who will be told Max is going to let you past. He's got past.
That is filthy. That is filthy. He's clearly come off the gas, clearly opened the door for Russell to go by, and then Max has just sent it up there and sent it into him. Made no attempt to make that corner himself. That's not a cornering angle that Max sent his car at into George. That I don't think you'll see this, but then
Verstappen and Russell for causing a collision. Let's have a look at it again. On board with George Russell, who will be told Max is going to let you past. He's got past, and then Max drives into him.
Yeah, that's not a glancing blow. That is aiming at George Russell's car. We need to see Max's onboard. We need to see Max's intent there.
Wow, that's bad. That is seriously bad.
Well, that looked even worse riding on board with George Russell. He's ahead.
He just rams him full on.
Can't say any fairer than that. Nico Rosberg has just called it. Max just rams him full on. That is just not acceptable conduct. That should be a 6-month ban. That should be a 6-month ban. That's disgusting.
You need to black flag that. There's no other way. But Max was in the right at first, in the first instance, and then the team went against Max, and they caused him to boil over.
I'm sure there'll be a lot said about that.
No, you could be right. You could be right that Max was not in the wrong in the first instance. Need to analyse what happened there with George Russell. But this notion, they caused Max to boil over. Why? It's because this guy's a psychopath. He's got no self-control, has he? You annoy him, and what's he do? Drive his car at you. Well, there's a screw loose there. Oh, we know this is Max. We know this is Max. Max never yields. We know that Max isn't going to... No, you can't go up against somebody like that. We know he'll never yield. That makes him the best ever. No, because there's times where this is what motor racing is. There has to be that mutual respect between you and your fellow competitor. And if you don't, then you're a danger to them. If you do this against me, I'm going to ram you. That's not motor racing. If you try and tackle me at football, I'm going to punch you in the face. What kind of footballer would be allowed to play football like that? If you try and tackle me when we're playing rugby, I'm going to punch you in the face. No, you get banned from the sport. You don't do it. Not Max Verstappen. We know that Max won't let you by. Max will never back down. Oh, Max is the best ever. We love Max. Choking on it, aren't they? Choking on it.
After this race, you don't want to move away from the reaction with Nico and Naomi and Simon. Russell says he's got damage. His former teammate Hamilton.
Yeah, funny that, isn't it? When a car drives his car into you, you get damage. On purpose.
Passed by Hülkenberg is on new softs, by the way, and the race leader Oscar Piastri has now started his final lap of this race. He's survived the restart intact, whilst others are losing bits of bodywork. The battle has been going on behind. McLaren are on for a 1-2 here today.
Yeah, okay, let's talk about McLaren again. Fantastic race they've done so far. Awesome drive from Piastri. Just done.
Now, there's a reason I'm carrying this on. So you're hearing the commentary at the moment, but there's a reason.
Dominating the whole day and looking on for a very well-deserved win.
The stewards officially investigating Verstappen and Russell, investigating Verstappen for causing a collision with George Russell.
So, what we see when things involve Max Verstappen frequently is, the stewards will investigate that after the race. And what they often do is invite Red Bull into the appeal and invite the other car, Russell, like Hungary, where Verstappen sent it up the inside to cause a collision with Hamilton. That was quite a few laps before the end of the race. We'll investigate that after the race and ask Max what Max thinks in the comments section. We'll say that, no, he was only predominantly to blame. We'll call it a racing incident there.
This is the scrap for third, and then fourth with Russell, and fifth for Verstappen. Out in front, Oscar Piastri is rounding turn 9, and after suffering a bit of disappointment in Monaco, where it was his teammate Lando Norris who led from pole position to win there, Piastri is going to round off this triple header in the style that he would want to do so. Verstappen won the first leg of the triple header. Norris won the second leg of the triple header. The third leg of the triple header is going to Oscar Piastri, and it is Piastri who wins the Spanish Grand Prix. McLaren 1-2 with Lando Norris in
Well done, Oscar. Good race win.
second place. Behind the papaya comes the scarlet red of Charles Leclerc, third, and a super race from him. Russell fourth, Verstappen under investigation, finishes fifth. Hulkenberg, what a performance from him to finish sixth ahead of Hamilton, Hadjar, Gasly and Alonso in the top 10 for the first time this season. It's Piastri that wins the Spanish Grand Prix.
What a well-deserved weekend. I mean, again, just executed to perfection. Just so strong mentally, Piastri
The happy clapping crowd, all knowledgeable F1 fans, obviously.
again this weekend.
What a super performance from Oscar Piastri, the championship leader. The lead cut down to 3 points before this race, and he showed his cool, calm and composed nature to come home and take a victory that has looked like being McLaren's, well, from the first moment the cars hit the track on Friday.
Yeah,
They
I
have
mean,
led
this is-
every single session.
Yeah, this is one of their strongest weekends. Just aerodynamically, that car is so strong, especially in these long, prolonged medium-speed corners. They've done such an incredible job with the car design. Spectacular. And both drivers, you know, driving 10-second time.
10-second time penalty for car 1 Verstappen causing a collision. Look how quickly they're able to come to that decision. Didn't have to ask George Russell, did they? There was intent there. That's just not a 10-second penalty. 10 seconds is the standard penalty for causing a collision. Right? He's caused a collision with intent. That's a disqualification. That's a black flag. And I'll do more. I'll break down the regulations. I'll get the rules out. Okay? There's got to be rules that actually determine that kind of driving conduct and what penalties must be imposed. That is absolutely disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. But not the first time we've seen it.
Penalty.
For
Well,
Max Verstappen.
That's a very lenient one from my point of view.
Absolutely, Nico. An extremely lenient penalty. Oh, who gets the lenient penalty again? Max Verstappen again.
You
That keeps him in the points.
remember when Valentino Rossi took out
Oh, that keeps him in the point. Yeah, we can manipulate this. We can manipulate what penalty we give him. Now that we've seen the finishing order, now that we can work out how many seconds everybody is behind, we can work out what sort of penalty we can give that can still keep him in the points. Now, I'm not sure that it does. Okay, I'd need to, well, it might do. Everybody will know by now. Okay, I'll just briefly, as I'm recording this video, I've just rewound the footage. I'm going through it. So all the conversations going on as I'm recording this. And I normally take more time to be a bit more considered. But when I saw the timing screens flash up, the gaps between all of the drivers was 10th place Alonso, 10 seconds behind Verstappen. I don't know. We'll find out.
Marc Marquez in the same way.
Yeah. That wasn't on bikes though, right?
Yeah, but that's the thing that came to my mind now, which was very comparable. Or Sebastian Vettel against Hamilton, Azerbaijan, Baku.
Very
That
good
would be
point.
what did Sebastian get for that?
Well, behind the safety car, I think he got a 10-second that day as well.
Crofty's got such incredible knowledge, isn't he? See, Crofty can remember the penalty from then, couldn't you, Crofty? But you don't know how the safety car procedure works. And you didn't know how the safety car procedure works at Abu Dhabi 2021. Yep, absolutely right, Martin. Yep, absolutely right, Martin. They don't have to let the lap do. Will they let the lap runners through? It's not mandatory. Nope. But that's normally on a wet day. And if they do, How long will they wait? They'll all get blue flags, of course. When have you ever seen that happen before, Crofty? When have you ever seen that happen before? Since the beginning of the 2012 season, when that was all reintroduced. You know, you commentated on that race back in Australia 2012, Crofty, when you were the one that told us the regulations were new for that season, where they reintroduced the unlapping procedure. How many times have you seen this scenario play out under Michael Massey, Crofty? Oh, them 4 occasions: Spain 2019, Brazil 2019, Sakir 2020, and was it Eiffel 2020? Something like that. They were the 4 times there. Massey kept the safety car out on track for 2 laps after they'd released the lapped cars to restore sporting fairness to all competitors prior to the resumption of racing. Oh, he just got confused, didn't he? Michael Massey got confused and he panicked under pressure. But how come you were all confused before it even happened to condition everybody's minds that it was likely to take place like that, lads? And none of the teams objected to that. Lando Norris in 7th couldn't challenge for 6th. Carlos Sainz in 3rd. Well, we got 2 lap cars in the way of him challenging for 2nd. Oh, the World Championship has come down to this, and Max Verstappen is the best you've ever seen. Yeah, that was all narrative. That was the fraudulent fixing of a motor race that you narrated, Crofty, you and your chum OBE, Martin Brundle, the man who gets an award from the King for his services to mind conditioning. Right, I'll see if that. I think. Wait there. Let's just see if there's anything to come from Nico.
Okay, that's very lenient.
It's the checkered flag. What a race! What a weekend, mate. Really good. Really happy. Biggest pole margin of the year, and very convincing Sunday afternoon as well. Great job.
Yep. When you said that based off last year, this weekend was going to be awesome, you weren't wrong. Should listen to you more often, you know, stop them. Great weekend. Yeah, couldn't have asked for more. So thank you very much, everybody. Nice.
Well done, Oscar. Well driven, and yeah, just well done.
Nice way to bounce back from a little bit of a difficult one last week, and very well done. Well managed. Couldn't have done it any better myself. So well done.
5th win of the season.
Yeah, 5th win of the season. Absolutely the dominant force of the year.
Who's led the most laps? Let me know what you think in the comments section about leading the most laps. In fact, don't. It doesn't mean anything, does it? The only lap that it's really important that you're leading is being leader at the end of the last one. Yeah, that's the one, isn't it? Providing that they've not broken the rules to set that up.
After last year, I would not have expected that, but he's just executing so perfectly. Max is angry.
So he's out of the car, and he's out of the top 4 and finishes 10th in this race with that 10-second penalty for causing a collision. So that promotes George Russell up to 5th, Nico Hülkenberg up to 4th, I should say. Hülkenberg up to 5th.
Incredible.
Hamilton 6th, Hadjar 7th, Gasly 8th, and then Alonso 9th, and Verstappen 10th.
Let's praise Leclerc also. Fantastic job with that Ferrari.
Yeah. Funny how Leclerc's Ferrari's got the pace, but Hamilton's hasn't. That's all about the driver, is it? No, it's not. Anyway, that will do on this video. I'm going to do a breakdown of that safety car and take you through the commentary during that safety car situation, and we'll have a look. How long do they wait? Thank you for your time on this one. Plenty more to come. Hopefully you've commented in that very brief one that I did immediately after the race with the times that you can remember where Max Verstappen has driven his car at other cars, and I will seek to try and get the footage of each of these incidents and do a compilation. This is disturbing. This sport needs to eradicate that danger to all of the other competitors. It is truly disgusting. This is the poster boy that they put up in front of the world. This is the kind of thing that they need to be setting an example of to the kids. Kids, if you want to get involved in motor racing, that sort of thing is completely unacceptable. That sort of thing is what you receive a ban for. Because you drive like that, you're going to endanger people's lives. And the sport has a responsibility to educate people. They've got a responsibility to the safety of everybody competing in motorsport, and Max Verstappen driving like that is a danger. Completely unacceptable. Disgusting. Thanks for your time.